The silver transport ship touched down on the rocky surface of Kepler-7 with a soft hum. Through the thick windows, 12 human students pressed their faces against the glass, staring at the massive crystal dome that housed the Zenturi Academy. The building sparkled like a giant diamond under the light of 3 distant suns. Dr. Lisa Grant checked her watch and smiled at her students. She was a tall woman with brown hair tied back in a neat bun. Her eyes were bright with excitement as she looked at the young faces around her. These students had worked hard to earn their place in the first interspecies exchange program in galactic history. "Remember what we practiced," she said in her calm voice. "Stay close, be respectful, and try not to touch anything without permission." Jake Murphy, her assistant, stood up and stretched his long legs. He was young, maybe 25, with messy blonde hair and a friendly smile. "And remember," he added with a grin, "we're representing all of Earth here. No pressure." The students laughed nervously. Alex Carter, a serious pre-med student with dark hair and glasses, adjusted his backpack. Katie Bell, a zoology major with red curls, bounced excitedly in her seat. Ryan Torres, who wanted to be a veterinarian, checked his bio container one more time. Megan Walsh, studying environmental science, looked out at the alien landscape with wonder. The ship's doors opened with a hiss, and the humans stepped onto the surface of Kepler-7. The air was thin but breathable, and everything had a strange, blue tint. In the distance, tall crystal structures rose from the ground like frozen lightning. A group of aliens waited for them near the Academy entrance. The humans had seen pictures before, but seeing the Zenturi in person was still amazing. They looked like walking crystals with bodies that seemed to be made of living glass. Light moved through them in beautiful patterns, and their voices sounded like wind chimes when they spoke. The tallest alien stepped forward. His crystal body was dark blue, and patterns of light flickered across his surface like nervous energy. "I am Administrator Vex 9, he said, his voice ringing like bells. "Welcome to Zenturi Academy." Dr. Grant stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Thank you, Administrator. I'm Dr. Lisa Grant, and this is my assistant Jake Murphy. We're honored to be here." Vex 9's light patterns shifted to what the humans hoped was a welcoming color. "Yes? Well, we shall see how this experiment proceeds." His tone suggested he wasn't entirely sure this was a good idea. Another alien, smaller and with a yellowish tint, moved up beside him. This one's light patterns were definitely nervous, flashing quickly like a strobe light. "I am Zilka, your teaching coordinator," she said. "I must admit, we are somewhat concerned about your species' reputation for, how do you say, chaotic unpredictability." The human students looked at each other with raised eyebrows. They had no idea they had such a reputation. Jake Murphy smiled his most charming smile. "I think you'll find we're pretty normal, actually, just curious and eager to learn." Zilka's lights flashed even faster. "Yes, that is precisely what concerns us." The group began walking toward the academy. The building was even more impressive up close. The crystal walls were perfectly clear, and inside they could see aliens moving through corridors that seemed to float in midair. Everything was clean and bright and orderly. "Your dormitories have been prepared according to your specifications," Vex 9 explained as they walked. "We have installed what you call furniture and adjusted the atmosphere to your requirements. Though I must ask, why do you need so many different types of seating? Our analysis suggests you have the same basic body structure. Comfort mostly," Dr. Grant replied. "Humans like variety." "Variety?" Vex 9 repeated the word like it was foreign to him. "Yes, we have noted this tendency in your species. Most unusual." They entered the academy through a doorway that simply appeared in the crystal wall as they approached. Inside, the corridors were wide and bright, with a soft blue glow coming from the walls themselves. Other alien students stopped to stare at the humans as they passed. Most of them were different types of crystalline beings, though some looked like they were made of liquid metal or flowing energy. "Your classes will begin tomorrow," Zilka explained, her lights still flashing nervously. "We have prepared a special curriculum that should be safe For your species. Katie Bell raised her hand like she was still in high school. What exactly do you mean by safe? Well, Zilka's voice got higher. We understand that humans require very specific environmental conditions to survive. We have made sure that all your learning experiences will be conducted through our advanced holographic systems. Very clean, very controlled, very predictable. The humans exchanged glances again. This wasn't exactly what they had expected. What about hands-on learning? Ryan Torres asked. I mean, actually working with real specimens and materials? The alien students in the corridor stopped walking entirely. Even the flowing energy beings seemed to pause in place. Vex 9's light patterns shifted to what looked like alarm. Hands-on? He repeated. You mean direct physical contact with uncontrolled matter? Sure, Katie said cheerfully. That's how we learn best. We brought some specimens from Earth to share with everyone. The silence that followed was so complete that the humans could hear their own heartbeats. Every alien in the corridor was staring at them now, and their various forms of communication, lights, sounds, and energy patterns, all seemed to be screaming the same thing. Panic. Zilka's voice was barely a whisper. You brought specimens from your world? Just a few, Megan Walsh said, trying to be helpful. Nothing dangerous, just some animals to help explain Earth biology. Administrator Vex 9's crystal body actually changed color, shifting from blue to a deep red that pulsed, like a warning light. You brought living creatures here. Dr. Grant finally realized something was very wrong. Yes, but they're completely harmless. We have all the proper containment units and permits. Containment units, Vex 9 repeated faintly. You have wild animals in containment units. They're not wild, Jake Murphy said quickly. They're very tame and friendly. This statement somehow made everything worse. The aliens began backing away from the humans and alarm sounds started echoing through the crystal corridors. Security drones appeared from hidden panels in the walls, hovering around the group with mechanical humming sounds. Tame, Zilka whispered. They have tamed wild beasts. The humans stood in the middle of the corridor surrounded by panicking aliens and security drones, wondering what they had gotten themselves into. All they wanted to do was share a little bit of Earth with their new friends. This was going to be a very interesting semester. The first week of classes at Zenturi Academy was unlike anything the human students had ever experienced. Everything was taught through floating holographic displays that appeared in the air like magic. The aliens sat in perfect rows, their crystal bodies glowing softly as they absorbed information directly into their minds. Alex Carter raised his hand during advanced chemistry class. The professor, a tall being made of what looked like liquid, silver, paused the holographic display showing molecular structures. Yes, human student, the professor asked. Could we maybe touch one of these molecules? I mean, see how they actually feel when they bond together? The entire class went silent. The silver professor rippled like disturbed water. Touch? You wish to make physical contact with reactive matter? Well, not the dangerous ones, Alex said quickly. Maybe just water or something simple. The professor's form became more solid, which the humans had learned meant extreme stress. Water is hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen is highly explosive. Oxygen supports combustion. You wish to touch explosive, flammable materials? Alex looked confused. But it's just water. We drink it every day. 20 alien students immediately left the classroom. In biology class, things went even worse. Professor Click 7, who looked like a walking piece of blue crystal, was showing holographic images of different life forms from around the galaxy. Katie Bell watched for 30 minutes before raising her hand. This is really interesting, she said. But how do these creatures actually move? What do they feel like? Do they make sounds? Professor Click 7's crystal body flickered nervously. Feel like? You want to touch living organisms? Sure, Katie said with a bright smile. That's how we study biology on Earth. We observe them, handle them carefully, learn their behaviors. Handle them, the professor repeated slowly. You physically grab living creatures, gently, Katie added, trying to be helpful. Professor Click 7 made a sound like breaking glass and had to sit down. Ryan Torres was having similar problems in his veterinary science class. The instructor, a flowing energy being named Flux 12, was showing holographic images of various alien pets. On Earth, Ryan said, veterinarians actually examine the animals. We listen to their heartbeats, check their teeth, feel for injuries. How do you treat sick animals here? Flux 12's energy patterns turned a deep red color. We scan them from a safe distance. We analyze their biosignatures. We never make direct contact. But how do you know if they're in pain? How do you comfort them? Comfort them? Flux 12's voice rose to a high pitch. You touch animals that are in pain, when they might bite or scratch in fear? Well, yes, Ryan said. That's part of the job. You have to be gentle and patient. Flux 12 disappeared entirely, which apparently was how energy beings fainted. The problems weren't just in science classes. In history class, Megan Walsh asked why there were no records of wars or conflicts in Zenturi civilization. The teacher, a crystal being with purple highlights, explained that their society had eliminated all violence thousands of years ago. But how do you solve disagreements? Megan asked. We analyze the situation logically and implement the most efficient solution, the teacher replied. What if people don't agree with the efficient solution? Why would they disagree with efficiency? Megan tried to explain concepts like personal opinion, cultural differences, and individual preferences. The teacher's purple highlights began flashing like a warning beacon. You mean, the teacher said slowly, that humans intentionally choose inefficient solutions because they prefer them? Sometimes, Megan admitted. And this causes conflict? Well, debates and discussions mostly. You argue with each other on purpose? The whole class was staring at Megan now. She suddenly felt very uncomfortable. By the end of the week, Dr. Grant was called to a meeting with Administrator Vex 9. She found him in his office, a crystal room with floating furniture and walls that showed peaceful scenes from around the galaxy. Dr. Grant, Vex 9 said. His lights flashing in patterns she was learning meant stress. We need to discuss your students. Is there a problem? She asked, though she suspected she already knew the answer. They want to touch everything, Vex 9 said. They ask to handle dangerous materials. They want to grab living creatures. They seem completely unaware of basic safety protocols. Dr. Grant sat down carefully on a chair that looked like it was made of solid light. On Earth, we learn by doing. We believe hands-on experience is the best teacher. Hands-on, Vex 9 repeated. Yes, we have noticed this disturbing tendency, but surely you understand that direct contact with unknown substances and organisms is extremely dangerous. Not if you're careful and prepared, Dr. Grant said. We've been doing it for thousands of years. Vex 9's lights went completely white, which she had never seen before. Thousands of years? Your entire species has been engaging in this risky behavior for thousands of years? It's how we learn and grow, she explained. How we develop medicine, agriculture, technology. We study the world around us by interacting with it. Interacting with it, Vex 9 said faintly. You interact with your environment instead of analyzing it from a safe distance. That's right. There was a long silence. Finally, Vex 9 spoke again. Dr. Grant, your students have mentioned bringing specimens from Earth to demonstrate hands-on learning. Given what I now understand about human educational methods, I must ask, what exactly did you bring? Dr. Grant smiled. Nothing dangerous, I promise. Just a few animals that will help your students understand Earth biology better. My students are very excited to share them. Animals, Vex 9 said. Living animals. From Earth. Yes, just 3 of them. Very well-behaved and friendly. Vex 9's crystal body began to vibrate, making a high-pitched humming sound. You brought 3 living creatures from a world where beings practice hands-on interaction with dangerous materials and organisms. They're really very sweet, Dr. Grant said, starting to worry about his reaction. The students have been taking excellent care of them. Taking care of them, Vex 9 repeated. Your students are personally tending to wild animals. They're not wild. Dr. Grant protested. They're domesticated. Domesticated. The word seemed to break something in Vex 9's mind. His lights went out completely for several seconds. When they came back on, they were flashing red in rapid patterns. Dr. Grant, he said in a voice that sounded like cracking ice, I think it is time we saw these specimens of yours. Dr. Grant had a sudden feeling that this was not going to go well, but she nodded and stood up. Of course, the students would love to show you. When would be convenient? Now, Vex 9 said, and his voice carried a tone that suggested this was not a request. As they walked toward the dormitory where the biocontainers were kept, Dr. Grant wondered if she should have prepared the aliens better for what they were about to see. But really, she thought, what could be frightening about a rabbit, a cat, and a small snake? She was about to find out just how wrong she could be. The advanced xenobiology classroom was packed with alien students when Ryan Torres walked in carrying his biocontainer. The container was white and about the size of a small suitcase, with air holes and a clear top panel. Inside, something small and brown was moving around. Professor Click 7 stood at the front of the room, his blue crystal body still flickering nervously from their previous conversations about human learning methods. Today, he announced, the human student Ryan will demonstrate what they call hands-on learning. The alien students leaned forward with curiosity. Some were crystalline like their teacher, others looked like flowing metal or colored gas. All of them had heard stories about the strange humans and their dangerous learning habits. Ryan smiled and placed the container on the demonstration table. Thanks, Professor Click 7. Today I want to show you one of Earth's most common animals. This is Coco. He opened the container, and immediately the room fell silent. Inside was a small brown rabbit with long ears and bright black eyes. Coco sniffed the air, then hopped out of the container onto the table. The silence lasted exactly 3 seconds. Then Professor Click 7 made a sound like shattering glass and actually cracked. A piece of his crystal shoulder fell to the floor. 3 alien students immediately fainted. Others began backing toward the exits, making various sounds of terror. Security alert, someone screamed. Wild predator in classroom 7. Red lights began flashing throughout the academy. Security drones burst through the walls, surrounding the table where Coco sat peacefully, her nose twitching as she looked around at all the commotion. Wait, Ryan shouted over the noise. She's harmless. She's just a rabbit. But the aliens weren't listening. They were too busy running and screaming. In the distance, Ryan could hear Administrator Vex 9's voice over the communication system. All students evacuate immediately. Dangerous Earth predator is loose. Ryan looked down at Coco, who had found a piece of lettuce that Megan had left in the container. The rabbit was happily munching on it, completely unaware that she had just caused a galactic panic. Predator, Ryan said to himself. But you're a vegetarian. Within minutes, the entire academy was in lockdown. Emergency barriers sealed all the corridors. The human students were rushed to a secure area, while teams of security drones surrounded the classroom where Coco was still eating her lettuce. Dr. Grant found herself sitting across from Administrator Vex 9 in what appeared to be a crisis management center. Dozens of aliens were working at control panels, their lights flashing in rapid, panicked patterns. Dr. Grant, Vex 9 said, his voice tight with strain. Our computer analysis of your rabbit creature has revealed some disturbing facts. A holographic display appeared between them, showing a detailed scan of Coco. Red warning symbols flashed around different parts of the rabbit's body. According to our analysis, Vex 9 continued, this creature possesses powerful hind legs capable of delivering fatal kicks. Its dental structure includes razor-sharp cutting implements designed for tearing flesh. Its large auditory sensors suggest it is a night hunter that tracks prey by sound. Dr. Grant stared at the display. Those are just her back legs for hopping, and her teeth are for eating plants. The big ears help her hear predators coming so she can run away. Run away? Vex 9's lights flickered. You mean it flees from larger predators? Yes, rabbits are prey animals. They're afraid of almost everything. The room went completely quiet. Every alien stopped what they were doing and turned to look at Dr. Grant. Prey animals, Vex 9 said slowly. You mean there are creatures that exist solely to be hunted and eaten by other creatures? Well, not solely, but yes, it's part of the food chain. Food chain. Vex 9 repeated the words like they were cursed. You have a system where creatures eat other creatures? That's how nature works on Earth, Dr. Grant said, starting to realize just how different their worlds really were. Another alien, one made of swirling green gas, drifted over to them. Administrator, if this rabbit creature is prey, what hunts? It, Dr. Grant thought for a moment. Well, lots of things. Foxes, hawks, snakes, cats. Cats? Vex 9's voice went very high. What is a cat? Before Dr. Grant could answer, Jake Murphy's voice came over the communication system. Dr. Grant? We might have a problem. The aliens found Katie's biocontainer. On the main display screen, security footage showed Katie Bell standing next to her biocontainer, trying to calm down a group of alien security officers. Inside the container, a small orange tabby cat was sleeping peacefully. Meet Whiskers, Katie was saying to the aliens. He's very friendly. The computer analysis of the cat appeared on the screen, and Dr. Grant watched Vex 9's lights turn from red to purple to colors she had never seen before. Retractable assassination tools, Vex 9 read from the analysis. Night vision hunting optics, flexible spine allowing 180-degree attack rotation. Hypnotic optical devices that paralyze prey through direct eye contact. And according to this data, it produces a low-frequency vibration that our analysis suggests is some form of sonic weapon. That's purring, Dr. Grant said weakly. Cats purr when they're happy. It weaponizes happiness, Vex 9 said faintly. The green gas alien drifted closer. Administrator, if cats hunt rabbits, and humans keep both species in their living spaces, how do humans prevent the cats from killing the rabbits? Dr. Grant was about to explain about pet compatibility when another alarm went off. On the screen, they could see Megan Walsh trying to stop a security team from scanning her biocontainer. Please don't open that, Megan was saying. You're really not ready for, but it was too late. The security chief, a tall crystalline being with silver highlights, had already activated the scanner. The results appeared on the main screen immediately. Dr. Grant watched Administrator Vex 9 look at the scan of her garden snake, and she saw the exact moment when his mind broke. His crystal body went completely clear, like glass, and he made no sound at all. Liquid poison delivery system, someone read from the analysis. Unhingeable jaw capable of consuming prey twice its diameter. Muscular body capable of crushing bones. Hypnotic movement patterns designed to mesmerize victims before attack. It's just a little garden snake, Dr. Grant whispered. It's completely harmless. But no one was listening to her anymore. The aliens were staring at the data, trying to process the impossible truth. Humans lived on a world with creatures that could kick them to death, slash them with hidden blades, crush their bones and poison them, and somehow, the humans were not only surviving but keeping these monsters as companions. Dr. Grant, Vex 9 said in a voice like wind through broken glass. What kind of world do you come from? Before she could answer, every communication device in the room began beeping with an emergency message from the Galactic Council. Dr. Grant didn't need to read it to know what it said. Earth had just been classified as the most dangerous world in known space, and every human in the galaxy was now considered a potential threat to galactic peace, all because of a rabbit, a cat, and a garden snake. We're in trouble, Dr. Grant said to herself, watching as the aliens began emergency evacuation procedures. In the distance, she could hear Coco still happily munching on lettuce, completely unaware that she had just started an interstellar incident. The Galactic Council meeting was unlike anything in recorded history. Representatives from over 200 species gathered in the Great Crystal Chamber on the capital world of Nexus Prime. The chamber buzzed with panic as beings of pure energy, crystalline forms, liquid metals, and gas clouds all spoke at once. Order! Order! Called the council speaker, a massive being that looked like a floating brain surrounded by glowing rings. We are here to discuss the Earth situation. Administrator, Vex 9 stood in the center of the chamber, his crystal body still flickering with stress patterns. Around him, holographic displays showed the security footage from Zenturi Academy. Every few seconds, the images would zoom in on Coco the rabbit, Whiskers the cat, or Noodle the snake. Fellow beings, Vex 9 began, his voice echoing through the chamber. What we have discovered about the human homeworld defies all understanding of how life can exist. A representative from the Flowing Ones, beings of liquid silver, raised a tentacle. Surely you exaggerate, Administrator. How dangerous can one small world be? Vex 9 activated a holographic display showing Earth's wildlife. Computer, show the Council the data on Earth's ecosystem. The display lit up with thousands of species. Wolves, bears, sharks, eagles, spiders, scorpions, lions, tigers, crocodiles, and countless others appeared in a swirling pattern around the chamber. This is impossible, gasped a representative from the Crystal Worlds. No planet can support so many predator species. It gets worse, Vex 9 said grimly. Computer, show the human population centers. The display changed to show Earth's cities. But instead of the expected fortress-like structures surrounded by protective barriers, the images showed humans walking freely through parks and streets. Children played in open spaces, people sat on benches outdoors. They live in the open, whispered a gasping representative, with no protection at all. Computer, Vex 9 continued, show the humans interacting with the creatures. New images appeared. Humans petting dogs, riding horses, swimming with dolphins, holding birds, walking through forests full of wild animals. The council watched in growing horror as humans seemed to actively seek out contact with deadly creatures. A representative from the Energy Collective, a being of pure light, flickered rapidly. This cannot be real. No species could survive such behavior. There is more, Vex 9 said. Computer, analyze the relationship between humans and the creatures they brought to our academy. The display showed detailed scans of the three animals, but this time the computer had been running for hours gathering more data. The rabbit, the computer announced in its calm voice, shows signs of genetic modification. Its natural fear responses have been reduced. Its aggression levels are lower than wild specimens. Analysis suggests intentional breeding for docility. The council erupted in shocked voices. The cat shows similar modifications, increased social bonding behaviors, reduced hunting instincts when around humans, extended juvenile characteristics, into adulthood. What does this mean? Demanded the speaker. The snake shows no natural fear of humans. Its defensive behaviors have been suppressed. It shows preference for human body heat and presence. Vex 9's lights turned a deep, frightening red. Fellow beings, the humans have not simply learned to survive alongside these creatures. They have changed them. They have taken wild predators and somehow made them dependent on human contact. The silence that followed was complete. Every being in the chamber was processing the implications. Mind control, someone whispered. Genetic manipulation, said another. They have enslaved entire species, gasped a third. The speaker's ring spun faster with agitation. Are you telling us that humans have the ability to control the minds of other creatures? It appears so, Vex 9 said. They call it domestication. According to their records, they have been doing this for thousands of years with hundreds of different species. A new voice spoke up from the back of the chamber. It was Pip 3, a young Zenturi who had somehow gotten permission to attend the meeting. But Administrator, what if the animals choose to be with humans? What if they are not enslaved, but partners? The entire council turned to stare at the young alien. Vex 9's lights flickered with surprise. Partners? The speaker repeated. You suggest that predators and prey species voluntarily cooperate with humans? I have been watching the security footage, Pip 3 said nervously. The animals do not appear distressed. The rabbit was eating peacefully. The cat was sleeping. The snake was simply resting. None of them tried to attack the humans. Because they are under human control, Vex 9 said firmly. Or, Pip 3 continued bravely, because they trust the humans. Because the humans take care of them. This statement caused another wave of panic. The idea that deadly creatures might actually want to be around humans was somehow even more terrifying than mind control. Impossible, declared the Energy Collective representative. Trust requires intelligence. You are suggesting that these creatures are intelligent enough to form relationships. Many Earth animals are quite intelligent, came a new voice. Everyone turned to see Dr. Grant entering the chamber, escorted by security drones. She had been brought from Zenturi Academy to answer questions. Dr. Grant, the speaker said coldly, you stand accused of bringing dangerous creatures into peaceful space and threatening the safety of all civilized beings. I brought a rabbit, a cat, and a garden snake. Dr. Grant replied calmly. They are all friendly pets. Pets? The word echoed through the chamber like a curse. Animals that live with us by choice, Dr. Grant explained. We feed them, care for them, and they provide companionship. You keep predators in your homes, the speaker said, and you claim they choose to be there? Yes, Dr. Grant said simply. Why? The question came from dozens of voices at once. Dr. Grant thought for a moment. Because we love them, and they love us back. The chamber fell silent again. The concept of love between species was so foreign to these beings that their translation devices could barely process it. Love, the speaker repeated slowly. You claim to feel affection for creatures that could kill you? They won't kill us, Dr. Grant said. They are our friends. But they have the physical capability to cause harm, Vex 9 insisted. So do I, Dr. Grant pointed out. I could hurt my cat or my rabbit, but I choose not to, just like they choose not to hurt me. This concept, mutual trust between beings with the power to harm each other, was completely beyond the aliens' understanding. Their entire civilization was built on the elimination of all possible threats. This is madness, the speaker declared. No rational being would voluntarily place themselves in danger. It's not danger when it's based on trust and love, Dr. Grant said. At that moment, alarms began sounding throughout the chamber. Security alerts flashed on every screen. What now? The speaker demanded. A security officer, a tall being made of metal and crystal, rushed into the chamber. Council speaker, we have a situation at Zenturi Academy. One of the alien students has entered the containment area with the Earth creatures. On the main display, they could all see security footage of Pip-3 approaching the table where Coco was still eating lettuce. The young alien was moving slowly, clearly terrified but determined. Stop him, Vex 9 commanded. He will be killed. But Pip-3 was already reaching out with one crystalline finger toward the rabbit. The entire council watched in horror as the young alien made contact with what they believed was a deadly predator. Coco looked up from her lettuce, sniffed Pip-3's finger, and gently nuzzled it with her soft nose. Pip-3's lights began to glow with wonder instead of fear. It is soft, his voice came through the communication system, and warm, and it is not trying to hurt me. The council stared at the screen in shock. Everything they thought they knew about the universe had just changed. Dr. Grant smiled. Maybe, now you will understand what we have been trying to tell you. The Academy greenhouse was quiet except for the soft sound of water trickling through the alien plants. Megan Walsh sat on a crystal bench, watching Pip-3 nervously approach the small table where all three Earth animals were now resting together. It had been 3 days since the Galactic Council meeting. 3 days of debates, arguments, and emergency sessions. The humans had been confined to the Academy while the aliens decided what to do with them. But Pip-3 had kept visiting, asking questions, trying to understand. The rabbit will not hurt me? Pip-3 asked for the 10th time, his crystal body flickering with nervous light patterns. Coco is very gentle, Megan assured him. She has never bitten anyone. She only eats plants. And the cat creature? Whiskers is sleeping. See how his sides move up and down? That means he is relaxed and happy. Pip-3 moved closer to the table. Coco was indeed eating a piece of carrot, making soft crunching sounds. Whiskers was curled up in a patch of artificial sunlight, his orange fur warm and fluffy. Noodle the snake was coiled peacefully on a soft cloth, barely moving. They look so ordinary, Pip-3 said with wonder. Our computer said they were Deadly predators. Katie Bell laughed softly from where she sat nearby. Your computers never learned that size matters. A house cat is not the same as a lion. A garden snake is not the same as a python. But they have the same basic structure, Pip-3 pointed out. The same teeth, the same claws. Yes, Ryan Torres said. But they also have different behaviors, different personalities. Just like you and Administrator Vex-9 are both Zenturi. But you are not the same person. This seemed to surprise Pip-3. You see us as individuals? Of course, Alex Carter said. Every living thing is unique. Even our animals have personalities. Coco is curious and friendly. Whiskers is lazy and loves to sleep. Noodle is calm and likes warm places. Pip-3 carefully extended one crystal finger toward Coco. The rabbit looked up from her carrot and sniffed his finger again. This time, instead of just nuzzling, she licked it gently with her pink tongue. Pip-3's lights went bright white with amazement. It cleaned my finger. Why would it do that? She likes you, Megan explained. That is how rabbits show affection. Affection? Pip-3 repeated the word slowly. It has feelings toward me? All animals have feelings, Katie said. They can be happy, sad, scared, excited, curious, just like you. More young aliens began appearing in the greenhouse. Word had spread through the academy that Pip-3 was actually touching the Earth creatures and surviving. They came in small groups hiding behind the crystal plants, watching from a safe distance. Dr. Grant and Jake Murphy arrived with Administrator Vex-9, who still looked very stressed. His crystal body was dim, and his light patterns were erratic. This is highly irregular, Vex-9 was saying. Unsupervised contact with dangerous specimens. They are not dangerous, Dr. Grant said patiently. Look at them. Vex-9 looked at the table where Pip-3 was now gently stroking Coco's soft fur. The rabbit had closed her eyes and was making a soft humming sound of contentment. What is that noise? Vex-9 asked nervously. She is purring, Pip-3 said. Well, not exactly purring like the cat, but she is happy. How do you know she is happy? Her body is relaxed. Her ears are not standing up in alarm. She came closer to me instead of running away. Pip-3 looked up at the administrator. I have been studying human books about animal behavior. It is fascinating. More aliens crept closer. A young being made of flowing purple gas drifted near the table. Could I try touching one? Which one would you like to meet? Megan asked gently. The smallest one, the gas being whispered. That would be Noodle, Ryan said. He carefully picked up the garden snake, who coiled lazily around his wrist. She is very calm and gentle. She likes being held because humans are warm. The purple gas being formed something like a hand, and very carefully touched the snake's smooth scales. It is not slimy, they said with surprise. It feels like smooth crystal. Scales are similar to crystal, Katie explained. They protect the snake's skin. Within an hour, a dozen young aliens were gathered around the table. Some touched the animals, others just watched. Whiskers woke up and began purring, which caused great excitement when the aliens realized the sound meant happiness, not a weapon charging up. The vibrations are soothing, said a crystalline being who had been brave enough to pet the cat. It makes me feel calm. That is the point, Jake Murphy said with a smile. Cats evolved to make that sound because it helps them bond with other creatures. It is not a weapon. It is a gift. Administrator Vex-9 watched all of this with growing confusion. But our analysis showed these creatures were capable of violence. They are, Dr. Grant admitted. Just like you are capable of violence. Your crystal body could cut someone if you tried. But you choose not to hurt others, right? Well, yes, but that is because I am intelligent and civilized. These animals are also intelligent, in their own way. And they have learned to be civilized, around humans because we treat them with kindness. A new voice spoke from the entrance to the greenhouse. So you are saying that intelligence and civilization are not just about avoiding all risk? Everyone turned to see the council speaker entering with several other council members. They had come to see the situation for themselves. That is correct, Dr. Grant said. Civilization is about making choices, choosing to be kind instead of cruel, choosing to help instead of harm, choosing to trust instead of fear. But trust requires risk, the speaker pointed out. Yes, Dr. Grant agreed. All meaningful relationships require some risk, but the rewards are worth it. The speaker watched as Pip 3 gently lifted Coco and held her against his crystal chest. The rabbit snuggled into his arms, completely relaxed. This creature trusts him completely, the speaker observed. And he trusts her, Megan added. Even though she could bite him, he knows she will not. How does he know? Because she has shown him through her actions that she means no harm, and he has shown her the same thing. The speaker was quiet for a long time, watching the scene before him. Young aliens learning to interact gently with Earth creatures, humans patiently teaching them how to read animal behavior, everyone working together to understand each other better. This is what you call friendship? The speaker asked finally. This is what we call the beginning of friendship, Dr. Grant corrected. Real friendship takes time to grow, but it starts with moments like this. 3 months later, the Zenturi Academy announced the opening of its new living biology department. Dr. Grant was appointed as the first director, with Jake Murphy as her assistant. The program became the most popular course of study in the galaxy, though they still required students to sign extensive safety waivers. Pip 3 became the first alien exchange student to Earth, though he spent 6 months in intensive preparation, therapy. The idea of visiting a world where apex predators and prey animals coexist in terrifying harmony still required significant mental preparation. The last scene of this chapter in galactic history took place in a classroom where Katie, Belle, stood before a group of nervous alien students. In her arms, she held Coco, who had become something of a celebrity throughout the galaxy. Today, we will learn about feeding herbivores, Katie announced. Remember, slow movements, gentle voices, and always let them smell your hand first. She placed Coco on the table with some fresh vegetables. The aliens watched in fascination as the rabbit began eating. Are all Earth creatures this dangerous? Asked a young gas being who was still learning to form solid appendages. Katie smiled, the same smile that had started this whole adventure. Every single one of them. We somehow survived by making friends with everything that could kill us. The alien students looked at each other with a mixture of terror and admiration. These humans were either the bravest species in the galaxy or the craziest. Possibly both. But as they watched Coco peacefully eating her lettuce, they began to understand that maybe, just maybe, the humans had figured out something that the rest of the galaxy had missed. Sometimes the most dangerous thing you can do is also the most rewarding. And sometimes the scariest step you can take is toward friendship with someone completely different from yourself. In the end, that is what made humans so special. Not that they were fearless, but that they chose to be brave enough to care.